The unconscious mind is constantly present. Even when you are deeply asleep, it's still sampling your environment. Have you ever had like a dream and maybe like a weird noise or something like that, and then you wake up and actually that weird noise was out there and then incorporated into your dream? This isn't just some trite seminar idea. What are we trying to do? Let's look at the root of hypnosis. Do you guys know the ABS formula? What's the A stand for? What does B stand for? Do we have those two things? Yes, more or less. What's the S stand for? Now this is the interesting part, right? Stimulate the unconscious. The unconscious mind is constantly present. Even when you are deeply asleep, it's still sampling your environment. Have you ever had like a dream and maybe like a weird noise or something like that, and then you wake up and actually that weird noise was out there and then incorporated into your dream? It's because your unconscious mind is still listening, right? So the unconscious mind is always listening, is always active, is always present. And here's another exciting principle, a concept here, which is any experience that you have that impacts you positively impacts your unconscious mind positively. It's just inherent in the idea of impacting on you, right? Which means it will change you. It will change your unconscious landscape. So think about this. Every inspiring moment you've ever had, every beautiful moment, every pleasant moment, every insightful moment has changed your unconscious landscape to one degree or another. So then all we really need to do is craft impacts that change it over a longer period of time. So what's the S stand for? Stimulating an unconscious response. What does that mean? Well, we've got to make associations to our own experience. So especially with longer metaphors, longer stories, people will check out, people will start thinking supposedly random thoughts, but where do those random thoughts come from? Typically, you heard something, you went, oh, that reminds me of another story, so your conscious mind goes one way, meanwhile, who is still listening? Is this making sense to you guys? So in some ways, whether someone stays focused, that opens up one channel because you're now creating experiential learning, or they get distracted, which means you're going down a different channel, you're splitting. It's basically a conscious and unconscious dissociation happening spontaneously. Because whilst the conscious mind is off, reacting to some seed idea that you presented, the unconscious mind is still listening. And here's the quick question. How do you know when to come back and carry on listening? You don't know. And here we go again. All the way. Right? This is useful stuff, guys? Interesting? So, as you know, someone over here, I think it was Michael, mentioned the idea, or it could have been you, mentioned the idea of vagueness in the language. But it's not just vague, right? This is vague. Well, close your eyes and, have some kind of experience. Right? A little too vague, right? So we're looking for artful vagueness. Artful vagueness means you're being transported in a direction that I generally intend, but of course there's more than enough generalities and more than enough space left that you can make it your own, make it meaningful to you. Does that make sense, guys? So there's a couple of simple rules for artful vagueness. 3 ones I want to cover here today. Really simple rules. Now I'll use an NLP term. It's not technically a correct term, but who cares, right? The first one's called a nominalization. Right? This is actually a made-up word, but so many people used it that now it becomes a real thing, right? So basically what that means is an abstraction. It's an idea that only exists in the mind, right? So a good test for normalization is if you had a large enough wheelbarrow, would it fit inside it? If you had a large enough wheelbarrow, could you fit a planet inside it? Yes? If you had a large enough one, sure, of course you could, right? If you had a large enough wheelbarrow, could you fit love inside it? It's a different creature, isn't it? Here's an interesting one. If you had a large enough wheelbarrow, could you fit mathematics into it? It's a twisty one, isn't it? Something you thought was real, well, is it? It has a kind of reality. So it's a kind of reality that we can ascribe meaning to, right? Make sense, guys? So use the nominalizations, and of course, empowering ones, things that are pleasant overall. The next general rule of thumb is these are basically two related creatures. Is unspecified verbs and unspecified nouns. Now, to some degree, every noun you will present is unspecified because you can always describe it further. And the same is true of a verb. A verb's a doing word, a noun is a thing, right? So what's an unspecified verb? So think of the distance between this. Pick up the yellow pot and put it on the stove, right? That's pretty clear, very specific. If the pot's not yellow, I screwed up on that one. If you don't want to use a pot, I screwed up on that one too, right? If you're not ready to put on the stove yet, I screwed on that one once again, right? So three, the yellow pot, yellow is adjective, so it's part of a noun, right? Pot is a noun. Putting on the stove is a verb to some degree, right? Does that kind of make sense, guys? So how can I change it around? Choose whichever pot or pan is correct for you. And when the time is right, start to cook. Cooking is an unspecified verb. What are you cooking? How are you cooking? When are you cooking? How long are you cooking? What tools are you cooking with? Right? Because, well, pot is kind of, just to pick up the pot is technically an unspecified noun, but it's still a little bit too specific for my scenario. So I give you choices, because pots aren't the only vessel in which you cook, right? So pick up the pot, the pans, or whatever. Do you remember? Covering all possibilities. Did you know, are you familiar with this language somewhere? Maybe anyone come across that kind of language before? Last year or so, yeah? Last semester, really, right? You get the idea? So nominalizations, unspecified verbs, unspecified nouns, and all the language you know from before still fits. Language softeners, covering all possibilities, and all that sort of stuff. We're still doing our external hypnosis, so that still fits into the picture of what we're trying to achieve here. Make sense, guys?
If you found this insightful, make sure to subscribe for more fascinating discussions on the power of the mind and hypnosis.